Hello, Libby.
Hi.
Are you well?
Mediocre.
Oh dear, the Olympics has just gone off. Right, I was going to do a Bad Wolf Parts and the Ways, meh. But honestly, there's just too much to talk about in this episode. Yes. So we've arrived at the first season finale of Doctor Who, which of course at the time we didn't realise would become such a prestige thing, as it never really had been before. There's plenty of seasons of Doctor Who that have ended on lacklustre episodes. And
Colin Baker, you were robbed.
Indeed. And I think that Bad Wolf as an episode is actually a story of two halves as well. So the first half is the TV show parodies. And it was interesting watching this with the kids because Lib and I felt that we kind of had to explain the three different shows that were being parodied. Because, you know, we don't really do reality TV very much in this house. So Big Brother as a concept, we seem to get it sharpish and, you know, reality TV is a thing. Here's the point I'm getting to. Weakest Link, we've seen the Romesh thing before, whatever it was, and Trinity and Susanna. The thing is, the kids immediately picked up what kinds of TV programmes they were parodying, which probably speaks to the fact that, one, all TV is generic, apart from Doctor Who, and two, what a fine job they did of taking off these TV programmes. And the cameos, the voice cameos all contribute, and the way that, particularly Rose, the way that she goes from seeing the absolute absurdity of this, and absurd is the word I want to come back to, but the absurdity of the situation she finds herself in until she realises that the forfeit for losing is being killed, which is, you know, quite a potent moment, all being said. I think it's really interesting that Rusty Davies chose to do that sort of thing with the first part of this episode. And the reason for that is because by this point, again, many of you may not be British, you may not be of an age where you'd appreciate this. By this point in the original run of this series, Doctor Who was the biggest thing on telly. And I find it hard to say now. It's been so rarely the biggest thing on telly throughout its 60-plus year history, but at this point it was. Would you agree with that, Lib, thinking back?
Yeah.
You know, people were talking about what's Bad Wolf mean, all this kind of thing. And so then for Doctor Who, which has always been a programme which throws itself into other stories, that's one of the tropes of Doctor Who, isn't it? That's one of the things that makes Doctor Who so beautiful, is that you can tell any story with Doctor Who and you drop the Doctor in the middle, and that changes the story, but essentially the trappings around it, and indeed the themes and whatever else. To do that with current television programmes, to demonstrate not only in the fact that Doctor Who was pretty much the biggest thing on television, but also that it kind of dominated other programmes in this way, I think, whether by chance or design, was an absolutely brilliant move. It really set Doctor Who in the middle of television for that period. And it was just such a, you know, a remarkable thing. And it was absurd. But I think this is...
You're absurd.
I'm absurd, but I think this was absurd. And that's one of the things that Doctor Who can do. It can do absurd. Not many programmes can do absurd and come out the other side of it, still retaining its dignity. And Doctor Who can. I mean, when Jack pulls the gun out from wherever he pulls the gun out, you know, it's carry-on stuff, isn't it? Talking of carry-on, though...
Made Winnie blush.
Oh, yeah. But there was a moment in this that made me feel quite uncomfortable, all right? And if you are British and you watch the news at all, you'll be aware that there are stories going on at the moment about television that have caused anybody to make you feel uncomfortable. And this has affected Doctor Who because Fear has disappeared from the iPlayer. But that's by the way. There's a moment where Jack Harkness, or more to point, John Barrowman, literally cups, was it Susanna's boobs?
I don't know which one of it was.
Whichever the robots it was. But it was a proper grope. Now, I know it's ridiculous. And I am fully aware that I'm leaving myself wide open to have the finger pointed at me.
It did look salacious, though.
It was dodgy. I didn't like it. And there is just... And I don't know if it's because... And I wish I wasn't aware of the background to Doctor Who at this time. I wish I wasn't aware of the gossip and this, you know, the cold heart of Doctor Who, which is we still don't truly know where Eccleston left, although I think, if you know, you do the maths, I think something like that is indicative of a culture, maybe. Anyway, yeah, didn't like that. Well, that's the only bit, really. Then, of course, the episode changes completely. You get to where is it the controller? I can't remember what the character is. The lady who's strapped into the machinery. And it takes on a seriously dark turn after Rose gets killed, of course. Now, there are moments in this where the character of the Doctor, you know, and there's one about a penultimate chance to really see it, isn't it? But really shines through. That bit where he refused to answer any questions, he has his mugshot taken, this, that and the other, and then at one point just looks at Jack and goes, let's do it. And then boom, they go into action. That's thrilling. I knew that was coming. I remembered that moment so vividly.
It's hot.
Oh, it's just so good. And he is hot. I mean, this isn't the most... Well, total respect to Chris Eccleston, a man whose prestige in my eyes has risen and risen and risen when I've been already watching these episodes. But he's not conventionally an attractive man. But my gosh, the riz of this guy at the moment is off the charts. And then we get the whole bit with talking to the control, and then they discover that Rose is still alive, and they find the TARDIS again, which was a joyous moment, isn't it? And then we get that brilliant moment where he just goes, no, to the Daleks. And there's just a real tension in this story, and this is a Sandifer point, so I nod to you, always cite your sources. But there's always this thing when the Daleks come in, they play with the narrative, the narrative breaks down around Doctor Who and the Daleks appear, and you can cite various stories where all of a sudden the things you come to rely on within Doctor Who just sort of fall away in a narrative sense. I love the fact that in this point, in this story, the Doctor just goes, nah, we're not doing that. No. This is what's going to happen. And you get, you know, in this artifice of television, a programme, you know, the first half which has been about the artifice of television, you get this sense that there's these two rival forces, and both of them are going, boom, this is how this is going to end. Wallop, off we go. It is a thrilling episode of Doctor Who. Oh, and also, a nod to Linda with a Y, we'll talk about her in the next video, but, you know, she rapidly enters the rank of Doctor Who companions that never were. But by the by. Anyway, absolutely. You what?
Agree.
Yeah. I think Eccleston in this is off the chain good. I think Billy Piper is just phenomenal. John Barrowman, throw John Barrowman into the mix with those two, and it is a whole new side to this programme. And it really, we'll talk about it later, but I could have seen that TARDIS team go for a whole season. No problems at all. There was something about that combination that really, really worked. Yes?
And we got to see Mickey and...
Oh, that's next episode.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's fine.
Oh, don't eat on camera.
Oh no, it's appalling. I can't believe that. Right, see you later. Bye.